Welcome to the Hire Yourself podcast. My name is Pete Gilfil, and I'm here with my business partner, Nat Truitt. We're all about helping people become entrepreneurs or better business people. Good morning, Nat.
Hey, Pete, how are you doing today?
Oh, hey, it is Fun Friday. I know we're recording on a normal, or not a normal day, but this is Fun Friday.
Right. Well, what's more fun than doing podcasts on Fun Friday?
Oh, no, that's not it. So one of the things when I've had my business, when I invested in my business, I created what is called Fun Friday. So Fun Friday is where I set aside for things that I want to do. So to have a little bit more of that balance in my life, because in the corporate world, I was traveling all the time and people were controlling my agenda. So now during the summers, I have what would be called Fun Fridays. So I go do the things.
Yeah, what do you like to do on Fun Friday?
Well, I may go work out. I know it doesn't look like it. I may go get stretched out. I may go get my car washed. I just do things that I enjoy from that standpoint. So it's a nice way to kind of keep that work-life balance. So
mani-pedi.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I've only one. I had a daughter do that, made me go. Anyways, so what I thought we'd do today is we talk about the benefit when we invest in a franchise, right? Many people say the reason I want to invest in a franchise is I want to get work-life balance, right? So I thought what we do today is talk about work-life balance. Sound good?
Okay, I like it. Yeah, it's like Labor Day weekend and we're working, so I don't
know. Yeah, and this is Fun Friday, and I'm talking to you. So I have fun talking to you. But so this idea is, how do we create and protect work-life balance in our life? So I think the first thing as we talk about this is that we're all crazy busy, right? And we have a lot of different things pulling on us. And as a business owner, that's a lot of responsibility. It takes a lot of work to get a business going, but certainly to manage it. Or if you're an executive and you're running a division or something, it's a lot of work. And so you have to find that combination. And so I think as we think about this idea of work-life balance, everybody wants it. And COVID-19 was a great example where people started being able to spend more time at home. And that was good, right? Because they got to be around their family. But on the flip side is, also when you're working from your house, there's really no boundaries, right? When do you leave work? When do you your family, right? So some people actually ended up working more as they sat in their house and stuff like that. So I thought we'd talk about work-life balance from the standpoint is I think you have to set the expectations. What does work-life balance mean to you? So for example, what does work-life balance mean for you? Because it's probably different for me.
Yeah, I think quite a few years ago, I think you actually turned me on to Darren Hardy, and I remember him talking quite a bit about like time blocking and also just disconnecting from the grid. So for me, work-life balance, I'm a morning person, right? So I'm up early. So you always find me at the office pretty early. And then I'll be, doing my work or whatever. And then, when it's time for me to, take out a client, go to lunch or do something, I'm going to turn off my phone and be present in that moment. I think what I like most as being an entrepreneur is or owning my own business is control. So the great thing is I don't have to ask permission to have a Fun Friday or to be gone for a few hours, right? So I can just, make my own schedule.
Let's unpack that a little bit, because I think you kind of covered a lot of stuff there, right? So first I think about work-life balance. So for me, I like working and you like working, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean we can't have work-life balance. So to me, I want to be able to work 11 hours a day. That's just my thing, right? But the deal is, my expectation is I work 11 hours a day, but then when I'm done with work, I'm done. I set it aside. I go and do that thing. Or I can work my 11 hours like you. If my daughter has a basketball game, and it's at 4, well, that just means I'm starting earlier. Maybe I come back after, but it's my expectation is that I can do my work and I can also be present for my family. And for other people, work-life balance might say, hey, I want to work only 8 hours a day and the rest is for family. So I think everybody has a little different expectation. I think it's important you clearly understand, one, what is your expectation? And more importantly, what is your family's expectation in terms of work-life balance, right? So my wife might not think work-life balance is right at 11 hours for me working, but that's what I look at for work-life balance.
It's definitely like a little bit of a yin and a yang, it's like, it's kind of a balancing. Sometimes you have to be like out of balance, which might be working tons and tons of hours so that you can then take a break. That's actually another thing. Tim Ferriss is a guy I followed over the years, and he'll work like around the clock for, maybe 60 or 90 days, but then he'll actually take 60 or 90 days off. And I'm like, that's kind of cool too, So it's like, I think there's lots of different ways to accomplish your goals. He actually he has this concept, Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week, but has this concept of basically never retire, but take substantial, like literally take 30 days or 60 days and go live in a different country or, travel. So you're taking like almost like mini retirements, and he does that like 2 or 3 times a year, he'll do that.
Yeah.
So I know I'm probably throwing you off track a little bit, but that's something.
No, but I think
it's like, if you have the income coming in, and then you can take, like some mini retirements, because honestly, I don't know that I'd be the best guy to be like, sell my business, I'm retired, I'm gonna, like, what do I do then?
No, I could never stop working, because I would, I think you need purpose from a standpoint. And as we talk about having work-life balance, because when I ask people, why do you want to invest in a franchise? One of the things they'll say is, I want to have work-life balance. And I say, well, what is work-life balance? Why do you want work-life balance? People say, well, I want to reconnect with my family, or I need to do a better job of taking care of myself. Like I got to just start working out more. So you got to know your why from that standpoint. You have to set your expectations. And then when we talk about the practical side of it, like I talked about my fun Fridays, right? And even like when I was in Ford, I was a manager, I created what is called Fast Start Fridays. So I took my team, I split it in half, and I gave each team every other Friday, the team would get the afternoon to go do something fun for themselves, right? Just get off to a fast start on Friday. That doesn't go over really well in a Ford culture, by the way. but I like the idea that you could do that, right? So it's about blocking out your calendar for that balance. And you mentioned you do that. Do you block out time for your family or things that are important to you, like working out?
I'm really like calendar oriented. I think I probably drive a lot of people a little bit crazy, because I'm like, if it's not on the calendar, I don't know about it. So I will block out, like I like to go to Orange Theory, which is a great franchise, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I go at 4:15 to 5:15 as an example. So I time block, I know every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's what I'm going to be doing. And so, that's kind of like how, example of how to have work-life balance is ironically, have to schedule, exercise.
So yeah, absolutely. So like one of the things I do is you get one of those wall calendars, the annual calendar, calendar at glance, and you go put in your vacation for the whole year.
Yeah.
All the days you're going to take off. Have you done that?
Yes. Somebody turned me on to that a few years ago, and that actually is a genius concept. It's like, it's kind of like reverse engineering, like schedule all your vacations for, 2022. And so what do? You like X them out, or you have like a nice visual too,
Yeah, right. I have different colored markers because it's a dry erase calendar, and I put it up there, and then I mark in all the time I'm going to take off to make sure that we have it. And, some people to create that work-life balance and maintain it is they have reoccurring things like every Sunday night is game night for the family or whatever, right, from a standpoint. We did a lot of that during COVID-19. We kind of slipped out of that a little bit as we go forward, but that certainly works for some people. Another thing is I think about work-life balance, and we hear this a lot from entrepreneurs, right? Is this idea of being able to say no to things, right? Not overcommit, right? Yep. I think what is it? Is it Stephen Jobs that used to say, I'm more proud of the things that I said no to than I said yes to. At some point, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? So you can focus on the things that are important.
Yeah, I think a lot of our peers, they're constantly being asked to coach this or be on this board or, volunteer for this, because it's like that whole concept. If you want something done, ask a busy person. But I think it is important to protect our time and our work-life balance. And you have to say no, because if you whenever you actually say yes to something, like you say yes to being on that, volunteer board, you're actually saying no to something else. And
Yeah.
the no to something else might be spending time with your kids because you're, working on this volunteer, board project or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to overcommit from that standpoint. Now, one of the things that I've learned is that this ability, as you have this balance, is you walk away from work and you're going to spend time with your family, is this idea of disconnecting, right? And a little bit of this Darren Hardy, no technology days, but this idea, of you, and I dare say, turn off your iPhone, turn off your computer so that you're 100% present with what you're doing with your family or your friends and stuff like that. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, so I don't know if I've ever told you this, Pete, but I don't have a computer at my house because I go to the office every day. So when I leave the office, I literally power off my computer, and then I'm not on my computer till I get back to the office next time. I'm trying to get brave enough to leave my iPhone at the office too, so I just have my phone, during business hours. I don't know if I'm going to get to that, but certainly, when I get home, I put it on silent mode and I just will check it a couple times or whatever.
Yeah. I once went on vacation, and my wife is always on her phone, right? And so, me to a lesser degree.
It's important stuff, I'm sure.
So you know what I did? What I did with her phone, I
No.
took her phone and put it in the hotel safe, right in the room, and I locked it up. But I didn't give her the combination. I said, "Listen, we're disconnecting," from that standpoint.
Yeah.
She seemed to have a little problem with that because she seemed to think that something might happen with the kids.
Right.
But anyways, the intent was good. So I think this idea of just disconnecting, leave all that stuff aside. My son actually keeps his phone in his office at night, stuff like that. So those are, I think, things as people look at it, to have that discipline to do that. One of the things, and you mentioned Darren Hardy, and one of the things I learned from Darren Hardy is called rest and recovery. Right. And I know you probably practice it, but what he kind of basically said is elite athletes, elite executives, elite entrepreneurs, they go at a very fast pace, work a lot, work very hard, stuff like that, but you need to recharge.
Yeah.
Right? You have to recharge. And that doesn't mean taking a nap every day at 1:00. It's more so doing the things that charge you up. So for example, you'll find that I never work on Saturdays. I won't touch anything. I'm totally disconnected from work on Saturdays. And I used to mow the lawn and do all that other kind of stuff around the house. And now I don't do that. I basically pay somebody else to mow the lawn, do that stuff so that I can do the stuff that recharges me from a standpoint. So I love cars. So I detail the cars, stuff like that. But this idea that you have to rest and recover, do you do that kind of stuff?
I've noticed over the years, a lot of times in the past, I'd work 7 days a week. And then, on Monday, the team comes back into the office and I can just sense for my own kind of motivation and just like, I'm not 110%. I'm more like, 70%. And so then over the years, I just kind of learned, I think it's good to be self-aware and you kind of like observe yourself. And, I journal pretty much every day too. So you can, journal these things like how you're feeling, what you ate, what your routine was, all these different type of things. But I notice if I do at least take one day off over the weekend, I'm like 110% on Monday. But, if I work 7 days, it starts to taper off a little bit. And then it's, you realize, well, I should have just taken that time off because I think, my productivity dips down otherwise.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do to try to stay on point with balance, because again, I'm like you, I like working, right? And so I enlisted my family in terms of saying, hey, just can you guys help me, make sure or keep reminding me that, we got to have this balance and stuff like that. So you can enlist friends and family. But, I think as business owners, when we have team members, right, is that we have to be a role model for our team members, right? So if we don't have balance in our life, we're not setting a very good example for our team.
Totally.
Do you look at it that way?
Yes. And I think like the birds of a feather flock together. So a lot of times if you're kind of a workaholic, your team's going to end up being a workaholic, but I think it's important to force them sometimes to take a vacation. Force them, sometimes to turn off their phone or turn off their email and just disconnect and rest and recovery, just like you were saying. And also, even you can make it fun to have some like fitness challenges or, just which would be more, attendance based or whatever, just different things to get people. Ultimately, what I found a lot of times, if it's too aggressive, like a lot of times employees will burn out around, 3 years or so. But if you can create a good, healthy, balanced work environment for your employees, they'll stick around forever.
Yeah. So if you're a good example, you foster work-life balance with your team, right? They're going to be more productive, as we talked about earlier with you. But also this idea is in today's world where it's a very tight labor market, right? This idea, if you're fostering that work-life balance, you probably have a better probability of keeping them for a longer period of time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think work-life balance is the key. You always hear like, people, what's the best advice you got? And, a lot of times you'll hear people say, well, love what pick a job that you love. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think there's, some truth to that. Like if you own your own business or a franchise, hopefully you love it so much that you want to do it forever, and pass it down and leave a legacy for your family. But in order to do that, I think it's vital to be able to have that work-life balance so that you can, this is life. I feel like life's more of a marathon. So, I'm trying to figure out my 30-year plan right now, and make it sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is. And we find that life can be short, right? So you just never know. And so you gotta take the time to enjoy and live life. We
smell the roses.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to build our businesses. We got to provide and create income and wealth, but you got to have that balance, or bad things happen. Perfect. Well, I think again, as people look to invest in franchising, work-life balance can come with it, but it's a set. You have to be methodical about the way in which you set it up and disciplined from a standpoint, so you can be in the best situation. But if you're not focused on work-life balance, you're not going to get there.
All right, so it's Fun Friday. Is it time to go detail the Mustang?
Let's go, baby. Let's detail the Mustang. All right, have a great weekend.
All right, talk to you later. Thanks for listening to the Hire Yourself podcast. For more resources, check out our website at hireyourself.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast to receive each episode. Please leave us a rating, and we'd love to hear your feedback or suggestions for topics.